Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, for the very brief recap for Chapter 5, in the last chapter, one of the things we find out is that, Captain Morgan and his soldiers, they're getting ready to kill Zoro and Koby, all while Luffy is going out to try and get Zoro's swords. And while this is going on, Zoro is thinking about how he can't die yet because he remembers the promise that he made to Kuina, who was his childhood friend and his childhood rival, someone who pushed him to be a great swordsman. And just when Zoro and Koby are about to get shot, Luffy shows up, gets in the way, and protects both of them from the bullets using his devil fruit ability. And that's when Zoro realizes that if he's gonna die here, or if he's gonna live, he has no choice, and he has to tell Luffy that he'll join his crew. And that's a very monumental moment. And so with that being said, let's jump right into chapter 6. So chapter 6 of One Piece is pretty damn interesting because I wasn't expecting to see as much of a wacky, unique fighting style to Luffy as I did. I'm more so used to, kind of reading the shonens where it's more one-on-one fighting head up. And I like the fact that Luffy's fighting style, in a way, it's kind of comical. I mean, he's got this gum whip. He's stretching his limbs out. He's jumping all over the place. And in a very weird way, he's kind of reminding me of Spider-Man because some of the things he was doing, just like the little bit of the jabbing going on where he's talking to Helmeppo and he's telling him that, Koby doesn't mind getting shot in order to give up his dream. He's calling Helmeppo out of his name. It's either Helmeppo or Helmeppo. I'm not sure which one. I haven't seen the anime yet, but that's something I'll get around to as I get further into this. But one of the things I like is that Luffy says, "Hey, idiot son of the captain." I mean, he's just doing a little bit of trash talk right there. And that's like the Spider-Man thing. In particular, that's the Peter Parker version of Spider-Man. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I like the fact that at the end of the chapter, you get this really cool scene where Luffy decides to take out Helmeppo. And right away, I see a bit of a weakness in Luffy's fighting style. And I'm going to touch on that after this. But what I found really interesting is after Luffy takes out Helmeppo, right away, Zoro comes right in. And Zoro is, coming in with the swords and he's swinging them. And he ends up taking out Captain Morgan. And I thought that was pretty cool. The fact that he takes him out because it just shows a level of trust and chemistry that exists between these two. And when you think about it, these two, they're kind of two peas from the same pie because, Luffy wants to be the king of the pirates. Zoro wants to be the greatest swordsman in the world. And even Luffy says it's pretty fitting given the fact that you want to be the greatest swordsman. I'm going to be the king of the pirates. We got big dreams. Let's go ahead and join up. I thought that was pretty cool. And I also like the fact that, Zolo's like, you really talk big. And yet you can tell this dude's completely bought in. And it kind of brings up the question of whether or not this is Zoro buying in because he truly believes in Luffy, or whether or not this is Zoro buying in because he realizes that he's crossed the Rubicon. He's crossed that point of no return. For those of you who don't know what the Rubicon is, that's essentially where Julius Caesar, when he came back to Rome, he came back with the intention of conquering, but he had a moment of hesitation, and there's this line, there's a boundary, and it's known as the Rubicon now. And when he crossed that line, he even made the speech to his men and saying, essentially, there's no going back at this point. And that's essentially where Zolo is, because Zolo understands, like, he was a pirate hunter, he was kind of doing his own thing, a little bit of a rogue, and yet because of the position he placed himself in, he has no choice but to join up with Luffy. And I like the fact that, this is something that the manga is kind of hammering home, is that not all choices and decisions that are presented to us in life are black and white. Sometimes you have severe shades of gray. Sometimes there is no right answer, and you have to pick the lesser of the two evils. So I like the fact that this is something that we get, and I like the fact that very early on we get a very strong sense of honor from Zolo, because one of the things he says is that, hey, if you make me abandon my dream of being the greatest swordsman, you're going to have to commit suicide. So I like that. I like the fact that he's saying, I'm going to help you with your dream only because it helps me reach my dream. But at the same time, if you ever waste my time, if you get to the point where it looks like my dream is in jeopardy, me and you are gonna have it out. That's essentially what got said right there. So I like that. I like that right there because in a way it just shows that these are two very strong-willed characters, and I think it says a lot about Luffy and the fact that he managed to get someone who is this opinionated, this driven, to be able to say that you want to be the greatest swordsman in the world. That's very ambitious. That's like me saying I want to be the biggest, baddest, whatever. There's like a room of like 30 motherfuckers right in front of you, and you got to go through all of them. Like, you got your back against the wall, and the only way forward is through the person in front of you. And it takes a very ambitious person to want to go through that, because a lot of people, they see the amount of work that it takes to build something and they immediately give up. And yet you got these two characters who know that their dreams are very lofty, know that their dreams are very ambitious, and they're not giving up. So I like that. I really respect the fact that we're seeing such strong characters introduced very early on, and even to a lesser extent Koby, because Koby, when you look at Koby, Koby's a nobody. I mean, Koby's a nobody. Like, Luffy had to essentially bail him out at this chapter. So I kind of like what you're kind of seeing right there is that, Koby's grown since he's been in the presence of Luffy and Zoro. And just speaking of Koby, I was a little worried that, he was going to be getting killed off. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see the fact that, Koby's actually alive. I said it before, if you're going to kill off a character, there has to be a little bit of meaning. Like, it has to mean something. It can't be just something that's done for the sake of moving the plot forward. That's one of the problems that shonens have. Shonen tend to have more emphasis on the melodrama. So I like the fact that there's a bit of a different approach that's being put in here. And one other thing that's really interesting is the fact that Luffy's like, yo, I don't think you understand. You're putting Koby's dream at risk. And that says a lot because, Luffy, he's known Koby for a few days, and yet he's taken such a strong enough liking to him that he is saying, like, hey, I won't let you endanger this kid's dream. I'm going to call Koby a kid simply for the fact that he's a lot shorter than Luffy. But this could be something as simple as, maybe, what's the guy's name? Ichiro Oda. Maybe he doesn't know how to draw children quite well. I mean, that is something, every artist has something that they struggle with. And I'm sure as we get further into the One Piece story, we'll see what this Oda guy struggles with. But, I do like what you see there. I like the fact that, when it comes to the whole situation with Koby, Luffy is not just someone who focuses on his own dream, but he's also someone who takes into consideration the dreams of others. And I thought that was pretty cool. And what was also interesting is you can make the argument that, Luffy wasn't just standing up for Koby, but also the men who were under Axe Hand Morgan's watch, because he does this weird thing where he tells them everyone who basically chicken out, everyone take those guns, blow your brains out. They start to go through with it almost like it's a form of mind control. Not sure what that is. I might have missed something. If I did, please let me know down in the comment section. But what's really, really cool about this, is the fact that as this is going on, Luffy immediately just kind of comes in and just starts kicking ass. Because it's almost like he's saying, I don't want to see pointless bloodshed at this point. I don't want to see each of these men who probably have their own dreams. I don't want to see them give up on their dreams all because you're a dickhead. I mean, I'm talking very loose right now. So, I apologize a little bit, but at the same time, that is going to be something, I don't do it a lot, but, these reviews, I mean, they're unscripted. I'm talking to you like, I just read this incredible series and I want to talk to you about it because I'm experiencing it for the very first time. So I'm talking to you like best friend, if not. So, I am going to get a little loose at the mouth at times. So if that's something that kind of bothers you, kind of apologize. I'll try to keep that at a minimum depending on what the feedback is. But what's also really cool about this Morgan guy is he's really strong. Like, he's really strong. And yet one of the things we see is like he's doing all these sweeps and all of a sudden you just see the like the metal thing that he was cutting into, you see it just get sliced into pieces. I thought that was really cool. Now, another thing I thought was pretty cool was the fact that, when Zoro gets free, he, with one hand, manages to free himself and then hold off all of the Navy men. I thought that was really interesting. But what was even more interesting is the fact that as Luffy is fighting against Morgan, one of the things I'm catching is that when Luffy stretches his limbs, his midsection is wide open. Like, his midsection is completely open. And it's just like, you can stretch everything. You can't stretch your core. somebody gets a solid hit on his core, I'm willing to bet that's going to do some serious damage to him. And I thought maybe, Etro Oda, I thought he was going to go this route. I thought, like, when they got the swords and everything out, I thought, okay, now we're going to see it, because bullets didn't hurt him. But, it's like that rubber fruit that he's got, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Can this really do any harm to him? He looks pretty damn indestructible. And when everyone finds out that he ate one of the treasures of the sea, one of these devil fruits, this fruit of the devil, everyone freaks the fuck out. So it's clear that these devil fruits are pretty fucking powerful. And it's clear that, they're a really big deal because everyone is just freaking the hell out. And yet Morgan just, kind of comes in. So it just shows you, like, Morgan's pretty damn tough in his own right. So, overall, this is a pretty good chapter. What I want to ask you guys for the chapter question is, has there ever been a moment where you had your own dream and you bought into someone else's dream to the point where you put your own dreams on hold? And I guess I should rephrase this a little bit. Have you ever had a moment where, you just see someone who you feel is so destined for greatness, has such a bright future ahead of themselves, that you say, I'll put my own stuff on hold so I can be the pillars that holds this guy up to get him or her to the next place, to get them where they need to go. And then I'll focus on my own stuff. And if it was mutually beneficial, let me know how that worked out for you. And if it wasn't, let me know why you think it backfired. But as always, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Have an incredible day.